Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind a lot. Um, that's truly an understatement, to be honest, to say that it's just been on my mind a lot. It's something that myself and many, many, many other women are going through. If you have the goal of getting married and you're a Muslim woman, then this might be relatable to you. The difficulty in finding a spouse, the difficulty in finding a partner, a life partner. It's real. This difficulty is very real. And I want to have conversations about this topic and many other topics where we can have a chit chat, we can relax, unwind, find peace, find solutions, um, and just talk about the things that are happening. And one of them being the struggle of being a Muslim woman trying to get married. I'm in my 30s, and so if you're in your 20s or 40s, this still might be something that you connect to. But just to put into context, yeah, I'm in my 30s, and I would like to talk about why it's so difficult to find a spouse as a Muslim woman. And I have a couple of theories to it. And I'm sure nothing I'm going to say is new or mind blowing, novel or anything like that. But it might help put things into perspective in terms of understanding why what is happening is happening. So let's get started. Why is it difficult for Muslim women to get married? Number one, the requirements for what a woman is looking for versus what a man is looking for, that requirement list difference is drastic. There are far more things that women are looking for. We all have that list. Myself included, I have my list. We all have a list of things that we're looking for. And pretty much most of the things on that list is justifiable. If you are looking for marriage as a Muslim woman, let's say you're practicing, you're obviously going to want someone that's practicing. If you have invested in your education and career, you're going to want someone who did the same. If you are somebody who does take care of yourself, or you are presentable, you're going to want someone who does go to the gym, does take care of themselves, is presentable, well groomed, things like that. If you are somebody who, just you would want what you can bring. Obviously, character, that's another one that's obviously uncompromisable. You want someone who's generous, who's kind, who's patient. So it makes sense. It makes sense. And it's just natural that we are the one choosing. We are the choosier gender. It's only natural. And then on the other side, when you look at men, they actually don't have a whole lot of requirements. To be really honest with you, with my experience from what I've seen, and I have a ton of experience, um, men don't have a lot of requirements. They just need somebody who's attractive and somebody who is just going to love them and understand them. And if they are practicing, maybe they'll want somebody practicing, right? Naturally. That's about it. They don't really care what you studied. They don't really care how much you make. They don't really care, do you go to the gym? Do you have an active lifestyle? It doesn't really matter. If as long as physique wise you are not in any extreme, it won't really matter. And so as a woman, what you're looking for might be out there, but he doesn't really have any reason to stick it out long enough to come and meet you, right? Because he doesn't have the same list of requirements, nor does he need it, right? Again, it's natural. It's very natural that a man wouldn't need wouldn't have so many requirements that a woman would. So before you are able to encounter him, he is able to get married to somebody and be satisfied because his requirements are not as much. And again, I'm not blaming anyone here. I really am not. This is very natural. This is normal. But it does play a role in why it's difficult. The second reason why it's difficult for Muslim women to get married, and this actually makes me sad because this is not natural, and it makes it unnecessarily harder. And this is that men have unfortunately not held themselves to the same standard that women have. When I look at my friends, 90% of them are content with where they are in their career. They've pretty much finished their studies, finished pursuing higher education. They're either content in their careers or in a stable place in their careers, or they are very successful in their careers. It's either one of those. They have worked really hard to maintain themselves. They make sure that whatever it is that they wear, it enhances how they look. They know how to use makeup to make themselves look better, how to do their hair, right? The presentation, it's there. They care about it. They also have, they may not be very practicing, but they have respect and an understanding of religion, where they're not doing anything, they're not on the other side, right? They understand the religion, they respect the religion, and they're doing what they can in terms of practicing. They're, in general, they're modest, right? They're modest Muslims, so they live modest lives, but for the most part they are practicing, and they put that effort, they put that genuine effort to be practicing or to at least live a modest lifestyle. Anyway, I could go on. However, on the other hand, men, for some reason, have become very one dimensional, especially the men, um, the millennials. I'll speak on behalf of millennials because I'm a millennial myself, but it's very unfortunate that you'll find somebody who is very academically accomplished, has goals, wants to do masters and PhD and so on, but then has no notion of going to the gym, making sure that they're dressed well, they're looking good, no notion of that. You'll find somebody who is very successful professionally, but somehow has been tempted to, have a drink here and there just to be able to blend in with his colleagues. And I do believe this has made it very difficult. This has made it very difficult for Muslim women to get married because men have not held themselves to that multidimensional standard that women do, that women are often pushed to. It's it's definitely going to have an impact in terms of how easily you're going to be able to say yes to somebody as a woman. And I have a theory as to why that is, why there are so many one-dimensional men. I do think it's because millennials, at least I'll speak on behalf of millennials that are raised by immigrant parents because I'm a child of an immigrant. They have allowed, a lot of them have allowed their sons to be one dimensional. They'll be like, oh, my son, he's doing his PhD, mashallah, great. And there's no advice given in terms of, hey, I think you should go to the gym. I think you should, you know, wear something else so that you look better. There's no, it's just they'll be applauded for that one thing that they're doing well. Oh, my son prays 5 times a day, mashallah, great, amazing. but why is your son in his 30s and still doing his bachelor's? You know, like, why didn't you put that pressure on him to get his studies done ASAP? It's just, it's unfortunate. This does make me sad. It makes me sad to see women working so hard to get things done so quick, you know, to follow the rules by the book, only to go into the market and finally encounter men for the purposes of marriage, only to be seen, only to see that these men have taken it very easy. It's really sad. It is quite sad, and so this has made it difficult. I do believe this is another reason why it's very difficult for Muslim women to get married. And then the few, let's say the few men that are out there who say do have, you know, the requirements that you're looking for, who have held themselves to that standard and who have met those standards for themselves, half of them, you'll find that they are so self aware of their success that you'll see something in them that will give you the biggest ick, that will give any woman, any female of any species, the biggest ick. And that is ego, unchecked ego. It is the biggest ick. It is so unattractive. It is so unattractive. I mean, they just no longer become an option, you know? It's with women, you'll meet women who are doing well, but their ego is still in check. You know, like at the end of the day, everybody has ego. Women, men, everybody has ego. But there's still a level of groundedness when a woman does make a certain income or if she does pursue higher level education. Uh, there's still a certain level of humility and of just being grounded. But with men, a lot of them, when they are when they are at a standard that they wanted to be at, which is good, then they lose the ability to stay grounded. And it's just seeing that kind of ego, that unchecked ego, is truly unattractive, you know? You don't even want to be friends with a guy like that. Forget marrying somebody like that, somebody with so much ego. You don't even want to be friends. They don't you don't want to you don't even want to friend zone them. You want to unzone them. You want to get them out of the zone. Anyways, so those reasons I would say, as I'm going through this process and I'm observing and I'm seeing and learning, you know, I realize there are, I'm sure, many other reasons, but these are sort of big reasons as to why it's becomes so hard for Muslim women to get married.